Recently, Fat Joe broke his silence about the legendary Good Life Cafe situation that happened in the early 1990s. For those who don't know, the Good Life Cafe was a safe ground for MCs in the Los Angeles area where, despite your gang background and shit like that, you can go here and get your shit off. It was their lyricist lounge, the West Coast lyricist lounge, basically. And it attracted those types of personalities, underground personalities, you know, the backpackers and shit. And it was a place that someone who's a East Coast MC would visit if they was out there, because they would be embraced. So Fat Joe, you know, got on the stage at the Good Life, and I was told this story, so I know what happened. I just listened to Fat Joe, and I don't think Joe knows what essentially the problem was. Fat Joe told a story of being booed. This is why.
Somebody said you got booed off the stage in 9-4. All right, imagine you went into a store, right? Because we talking about something we never talked about. It was called A Good Life in it was called A Good Life in LA. It was called A Good Life, and it was in LA, and I went in there and they booed me. So like, you know, like, do I look like I give a fuck about that? Or I did at the time? No. And so it was around the time when it was starting to get real East Coast, West Coast-ish. And, you know, I'm all hip-hop. So, you know, I started Apollo Theater 4 weeks in a row, amateur night. You know, I started out in every party you could think of, hip-hop, lyricist lounge, this, that, rapping, ripping down shows. I started out being a hype man for BDP and KRS-One. You can't get more embedded in the soil. And so, if you asking me, yo, Joe, I heard you got booed. So the 20 people in attendance at the Good Life that night chose that they didn't like the fat guy. Do you know how many times those guys who booed me had to hear Fat Joe songs on the radio in LA? Do you know how many thousands of times it was proven to them that they were wrong?
One of the main rules at the Good Life Cafe was no cussing. You can't cuss in there. So when Fat Joe got on the mic and he started the cussing, unknowingly, the crowd started to boo him, because this was their general practice. This was their general practice, that there was no profanity at the show and shit. And Fat Joe probably took it as being, you know, biased, East Coast, West Coast type thing, and it probably looked that way. But nah, it was because he was cussing.
I go to LA radio, and thank you guys. I love you. I can't go over there one day without hearing Lean Back, What's Love. This LA radio has supported me my whole entire career, and I am grateful for it to the highest levels. But do you know how many times these guys have been proven to be wrong for booing me at the Good Life? Come on. Who won the Good Life? Who got cheered for? Could somebody who knows about the Good Life tell me who got cheered at the Good Life?
Deep in the heart of Los Angeles, fucking with the hip-hop underground. It's very active. I got a dose. I seen it up close. What's the name of the venue we at tonight?
We at the Catch One on Pico Boulevard in the Crenshaw area.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself, mommy. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go by the name of Mr. Motherfucker CR. Mr. CR. MISTER CR.
Right. Give me something about your background in regards to music and how you made your way to Gully TV.
As far as LA, back in the early 90s, it was a club called the Good Life Cafe, which basically...
I heard about it. I seen the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
You was a part of that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was on there, but I know Ava DuVernay. She was used to rap back in the day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But to make a long story short, LA, you know what I mean? Everybody named Mama rap, you know what I mean? So at that time, though, if you really called yourself an MC, you had to show up to the Good Life Cafe. And if you feel like you was a rapper, you'll get on stage and you do your thing, and the crowd gonna let your ass know if you good or you not. It was kind of like a West Coast version of the Showtime Apollo. So basically, if you get out there and you did some bullshit, the crowd would be like, hey, ho, get this nigga up out of here. Please pass the mic. They would chant that, please pass the mic. If your shit was garbage, you out of here.
Who did they go, ah? Are they still around? 28 years later, in 9/4 Life Camp concert with Tupac in Queens, Erica Ford. That's where I met you in 9/4. But I'm saying, is anyone they cheered for at the Good Life still relevant, still around?
Okay, what was you doing during this time, during the Good Life Cafe era?
I was honing my skill, you know what I mean? At that time, I had to be like 12, 13, you know what I mean? So we ended up going to that motherfucker, and then some of the older cats, older than us, seen the potential in us, and then took us under their wing and started training us in a sense, you know what I mean? Giving me the work ethic, you know what I mean? How to write on the spot, all that freestyle, all that old type of shit.
Give me the science behind your name, Mr. CR.
Oh, Mr. CR, it's like Mr. CR. You know, when you gang banging, a lot of gang bangers put Mr. in front of their name, but mine said Mr. California resident, crack rock or whatever. But I was trying to call myself being creative, so I just, I'm Mr. California resident. I'm from California, and I got these bars for you niggas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fat Joe spoke about the Good Life Cafe recently, and he kind of like spoke about them in a, I don't know, disconcerting manner, just a little bit. And he wasn't, I don't think he was very much aware of the history of the Good Life Cafe. A lot of big people came out of there and came through there, and he was saying like, where they at now, and you know, da 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 da. They're around. They're still relevant. They're still moving around. One of them is an underground MC that I've been working with named Mr. CR. He was around the Good Life Cafe situation. Long before I was made aware of this story about Fat Joe at the Good Life, I've seen a documentary about the Good Life. It came out in like 2008. It was called, I believe, This Is the Life. Y'all can go look it up. Very, very, very good detailed documentary, and it shows you the level of talent. They had some guys out there that was getting busy and who went on to great things. So yeah, Fat Joe was just a little bit misinformed on it, but that was the situation, and that's why it happened. They booed him off the stage because he used profanity, which is against the rules. If you tune in to me, you watching Gully TV, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get the notifications, and follow me on Twitter at Gully TV 1. Peace.
The Good Life Cafe had a lot to do with that, you know what I mean? Because to the West Coast, you know, everybody knows it's for gang banging, but it was still certain people that fuck with lyricism and shit like that, you know, the East Coast counterparts or whatever. Right. So the Good Life Cafe was the mecca of that in Los Angeles, you know what I mean? It was gang bangs with braids and penalties and all that type of shit, but they wanted to be different than Ice Cube and all them type of dudes, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what Ice Cube inspired me to rap, but when I went to the Good Life, it taught me how to say it differently than everybody else, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's how the term underground hip hop came from the niggas I was hanging with at the Good Life Cafe, with some greats like Freestyle Fellowship, Hip Hop Clan, and a few other cats. A lot of people might not know. You had Freestyle Fellowship, you had Jurassic 5, you had Volume 10. He was known for a song called "Pistol Grip Pump in My Lap" at all times. And then you had a lot of other MCs that's known that passed through there too. Snoop Dogg, Corrupt, all of them. These is niggas. They known throughout the world as who they are, right. But they was once upon a time niggas that just stand in a circle with you and feel like, nigga, I serve you, right? But then they graduated to that. But all that's the Good Life. That's the mecca of all that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're missing teeth. The guys who won at that Good Life, they're missing teeth.
But the main ones was like niggas like Micah 9, AC Alone, you know what I mean? LA Cool, you know what I mean? Like Abstract Rule. Right, you know, dudes like that, you know what I mean?
After that, did any of them experience any mainstream recognition?
Well, Volume 10, he got a record deal. He was known for that Pistol Grip Pump in My Lap at all time. It was a guy named Mosquito. He had a song called "I Wish I Was a Little Bit Taller." I wish I was a baller. Right. I wish I knew the girl that was good. There was another guy named Ahmad. Back in the days, if I was young, I didn't care anymore. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of fools that passed through. They wasn't really Good Life regulars, but they passed through there, like dudes like Razzcast, Exhibit, Corrupt, Snoop them passed through there. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of everybody on the West Coast in hip hop, all the way from the bottom, like us, all the way to the top and everything in between, everything connected.
Right.
Something like the 60 degrees of separation, but everybody connected.
Someone put their money where their mouth is. Listen, if the guy you cheered for in 1994 at the Good Life, and you made him a winner, and you said they were really, really dope, if they don't have no teeth, tell them, hey, put your money where your mouth is. You gotta be kidding me.
Made it where MCs could connect from New York to California. How was you able to develop your contacts? Because I see you, you know, mingling with a few people and shit.
Yeah, well, see, I use social media to my advantage because I try to gain respect of the thug. I'm a thug, not like that. Fuck, I don't like that term.
Right.
But I like to. I try to cater to like the real niggas, like a nigga like Gully TV or niggas like Mobb Deep or niggas I grew up listening to. Them is the niggas I respected. Niggas that was in the lyrics, but niggas that'll beat your motherfucking ass. But they ain't on tripping on no bullshit.
Right.
They just, you know, we ain't starting no shit, but we ain't running from this shit. And I just read people very well, and them the type of niggas I try to connect to.
Since you've been making your connections, have you had the pleasure of doing any music with anybody?
Well, I did something with Razzcast. I've done Snoop Dogg and shared my shit. I've done a lot of shit with a couple of songs with Twin Gambino from the infamous Mob. You know what I mean? And then I'm starting to develop a lot of good relationships, and that's why I'm sitting right here in front of. I was just watching Gully TV. We like, damn, we need to link up with that nigga. Now we sitting out here watching, fucking with the nigga.
What's the name of that work you did with Razzcast?
It was a song called the Project Blow All Stars. And then on the Project Blow, there's a hip hop club that transpired after the Good Life shut down. The Project Blow started.
Okay.
So all the heavyweights from that particular crew is on this particular track that I added Razzcast onto, and he ain't even charged me for the.
So after the Good Life, the next
thing was Project Blow. Yeah, that was hardcore.
Who was the shit at Project Blow?
Oh man, it's the same type of dudes, as well as a nigga named Otherwise Nasib. But people don't know about this dude. Otherwise was the guy that served Eminem at the Rap Olympics. You know, it was like a 6-man teams. It was niggas from the West Coast, like dudes like LA Cool, Otherwise, Emperor, and a few other, and AC Alone, Riddler from CBE, and then they was going against Thurston Howe, motherfucking Eminem, and I forgot Juice, some dude named Juice, and a couple other cats.
I heard
6-man crew.
about Juice.
So they was going back and forth. The homies was out here serving off the top of the head, but then my nigga Otherwise smashed Eminem.
Right.
But Eminem got the deal. That's when he had that tape going around with that crazy Maniac spray paint on his can on that thing.
You know what made me really take notice of West Coast MCs that was really spitting bars? There was this movement called Team Backpack.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Asad Ill was on there.
They did a lot. That did a lot for guys like you who were coming with lyrics and shit, because we didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But when I first started to see them Team Backpack videos, it made me go and do my research and see where the fuck is this dude from. You know what I'm saying? Like,
a lot of niggas out here that got him, but we just don't get no light. It's some niggas out here with bars, bro. Straight up. They get down like how y'all niggas get down. You know
how does West Coast Radio treat you guys?
They don't really. It's kind of like, you know, it's still Hollywood. You know what I mean? So they don't fuck with anything that's not signed. They out here, they only fuck with what's the industry pushing. Right.
So you having difficulties being recognized by platforms like Shade 45 and shit like that? Because they be playing niggas that ain't on something.
Yeah, now see, I've been on certain shows, you know, because they got a conglomerate of different shows that be on that channel. So I've been on certain shows on that shit, and then the Rappers Out of Control. I've been on fuck with that. Matter of fact, DJ Premier spent the cut that I'm on with the homie. He was just here. They from West Coast Crazy. My nigga Stroll, me, and my nigga LA Cool. DJ Premier spent that.
No doubt.
On his shit.
Talk that shit.
Yeah, on Rappers Out of Control.